Matt Lindsay, I'm the president of Math or Economics. We're an economics firm based in Atlanta. We work with a lot of publishers and other businesses that have subscribers and long-term relationships with their customers.
I'm Xavier. I'm based in Amsterdam. I work for a newspaper company or news company, NRC, and I'm the director of marketing and data. And we've been working with Matt for a couple of years and heavily invested in kind of figuring out, how we can discover what the relationships is about with the customer and how we can really monetize that. So.
I think from my perspective, I would say that it gives a good sense of how to get started with data and how do you actually begin the process. And so I think what we provide is not only some guidance, but also some kind of examples or some case studies that will kind of help you understand what's the journey look like and where do you end up. The essence of the book is it's kind of the combination of data science with customer experience. Yeah, so I think this book was written intentionally to be a very approachable read that had some very some case studies that appealed to non-technical people. I think we do give some technical details for those that are interested in terms of how the data would work, but we really tried to keep it very light on jargon and very heavy on practical applications and pragmatic solutions.
So we have examples in the book of many industries like cable and telecom, but also news, of course, media. And we really see that it's really applicable to so many industries. So you don't need to have a newspaper to make it easy.
Well, I think what focusing on the data is kind of putting the cart before the horse. I think, and we talk about this in the book, that really what's important is to look at what are the leverage points in an organization where making intelligent decisions will have a positive impact. A lot of times people will collect data, they'll undertake a big data collection process because they suddenly feel like the magic will happen and wonderful things will come out of the data. And in our experience, what we find is that you really almost start with the end in mind, is what we typically say, which is how are we going to use it? And then you kind of go through the exercise of what types of analytics will support that decision, and then what types of data are needed for that analytics, and then that's when you collect that data. Because collecting all the data in the world can be quite expensive. Even though the cost is falling, it's still a very timely and exercise.
It's not easy and it takes time. So I guess you have to kind of start where the energy is. Like if you have some people who are willing to empathize with customers, because that's really what you have to do. If the employees, you find them, they want to empathize with some customers and they want to kind of start improving the process, and you kind of make little experiments, and then if you have a control group, you can go to your CEO, or you can go to the director of another silo, so to say, in your company, and you can show them, look, this is really working. And I guess that's kind of, I call it the flywheel. The first time around is totally hard, but the second time you have some energy in it, it's easier. So once you're in the fourth department who wants to kind of build better relationships, it's actually in the end it's like tech. You just give them a little spin because the energy is already there. Yeah, so very practical example, maybe in our case, so we started to send readers who are about to churn. We kind of find out, okay, what's their birth date, and because we have an archive of all the newspapers since 1828, so basically we cover everybody. So we would send them like a digital copy of their birth date, and that would be like so personal, because it would be and on one hand it would be our product, but on the other hand it's their product, because it's their, and everybody wants to know what happened on the day you were born, and of course nobody remembers. So that's just a small example, and there are many more where it doesn't have to be necessarily money or anything, or a discount, or that's usually what you see. Okay, let's give them kind of a gift or a discount. It may work, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but what we try to do with the warmth is kind of make it personal and make it feel like it's authentic, and it is authentic. We really love to give that thing. You have to kind of build it, but then we can see the impact, because we will look, okay, we have a group that's likely to churn, and we'll kind of divide it in two and see, okay, who is, we have like control group, like with medicine, so there's a group where we will send it, and a group we will not, and then kind of see how they develop over time. Then it's amazing, you're like, poof, you go up. And it's because we kind of think of these things, you know, from the heart, not just from, okay, we want to make more money, but we seriously want to kind of really improve the relationship. I think that's the greatest starting point.
Well, I think that, you know, going back to data is really only important if you can use it effectively to make some business improvements. And so if you have a silo between the data people and the lines of business, sometimes it's almost like an us versus them type of thing. I think business people tend to have a good sense of how they can use the data, and it really enables them to feel that they have ownership of this process. And I just feel like it's really, ultimately that's the end result, is to affect business outcomes, and so put the business people in charge.
Understand your pricing. We haven't really touched that subject, but if you understand the right price, you know, that will boost your acquisition and it will save stops, because you won't go like too high for people to kind of not renew.
And I think you hit on a good point, which is it's very important to have some success early on. So try to, you know, don't try to boil the ocean, as we say. You know, try to find something that you can do quickly that shows some tangible results, and that tends to get people's momentum going and belief and that things are going the way we hope they would.
First time around is quite hard, so I would advise, as we do in the book, like really start somewhere small, and somebody who's willing to kind of use those tools. You know, I mean, the empathy is the goal, I guess, and the data is really, you get the proof.